And it looks like we are live. Well, live-ish anyway. How we doing tonight, folks? Thrash Bondo here with my promised and much awaited for surprise live chat. Don't got much planned for tonight, by the way. Just gonna do a general Q&A thing. Standard topics, nostalgia, TV, movies, that type of thing. And a few points of topic that we can talk about, but I'll wait for a few people to hop on or there won't be much talking about going on. Oh, and John Hepfer is here. He's the first in the house, and he says, "Rest in peace, Paul Rubens and Agnes Cloud. Awful, awful day." Agnes Cloud. Why is that not ringing a bell? Please, illuminate. Paul Rubens. Yes, been a fan of his for probably 40 years. Was just talking with Mrs. Thrash about that. Hopefully now he's back with Phil Hartman and they can reconcile. Big Guys 45 says hello to you, Big Guys 45. How's TikTok working for you? Lance is here. He says, "Hey Thrash, Lance, so good to see you." And yes, I'm very sad about Paul Rubens. By the way, I read some message from him on Facebook or something. Apparently, he's been sick for a while, but very very sad. Liz Javen says Dave is on right now. He is. Oh dear. Well, I won't run any competition to Dave. Um, Is he doing a surprise live chat? What's his situation? Clue me in, please, Lance. Keithy is like, is this the first presentation of the evening? Yes, it is. We'll see how long it lasts. The only thing I can think that happened last night is I think I bumped a cord, which shook the camera loose. I have all the cords very neatly and very tightly put here, so that won't happen again. As far as what happened after that, I'm not sure. I think the signal kept trying to piggyback each other, so it said I was on when I thought I was off, so it wasn't letting me back on. But anyway, yes, it's the first presentation of the evening, and we'll see how long it lasts. John Innes is like, "Ha! I'm on both your stream and Dave's. Tell Dave I said hi. Tell Dave I said hi. I did not. Honest to God, I did not know Dave was broadcasting tonight. I wouldn't intentionally be a competition to Mr. Sunstrom. Big Gus 45 says, I deleted my account one day. I may try again, but not for a long time. Sounds like you were tad discouraged there, Big Gus 45. I'm very, very sorry to hear that. Lance Javen says, Dave is remembering Pee Wee Herman. A more sympathetic I could not be. That's actually what we've been talking about since we started here. Music, movies, and more with Brian says, "Hey there, Thrash. and M, so good to see you, by the way. You've been putting out some great stuff. Love what you've been doing. I'm guessing you're going to be working on something for Mr. Herman. That's just an educated guess. But welcome to the party. Big Guy says, too stressful. Yeah, Big Guys, I can understand that. It does kind of get to you after a while. Lance is saying, hey, gang. Tell Dave I said hi, people. Like I say, I didn't know he had something planned. It sounds to me, oftentimes Dave does these when he does these memorial posts. They're more or less impromptu, and I hadn't had a chance to really check the settings. He may have posted something about going live tonight. I just didn't catch it. Jenny Staten says greetings from South Carolina, and greetings to you too. Sean says, done, Thrash said hi for you. Oh, well, he timed that absolutely perfectly. In fact, more than perfectly. It seems to me like he wrapped up exactly as I was supposed to go on. So, if anything, I think he may have given a nice shout out to send some people my way. We'll see if it works. Lance Jamin says, the spleen from Mystery Men. The spleen from Mystery Men. Was that Agnes? Sorry. Oh, Pee Wee Herman was the spleen. Yes, Pee Wee Herman was the spleen. Keith, he says, Sean, do I get partial credit for Dave's speed? I wasn't over there, but I think I should get credit. I'll give you credit. I will give you full credit. Keith. Tab is here and says, hello, Thrash. So sad to hear about Paul Rubens / Pee Wee Herman. Yes, it actually is very, very sad news. And he was 70 years old. I had no idea he was that much older than I was. For Christ's sakes. I keep getting these notices to upgrade my PC, and it always goes over who's ever in the comment section. Sean Ennis says Pee Wee was the hamburger dude in Nice Dreams. He certainly was. I'm not sorry. I hope I get the right movie there. I'm sure I did. I haven't seen those movies in years, though. Sean Ennis says, LOL, no to Keith. I did it. I for. I'll come in again. Says, LOL, no, Keith E. I for I'd it. I for I'd it. All my friends know the for I did. He then corrects himself. Forbid it. It's the Forbidden Planet. Danny Staten says, I think Pee Wee's best role was in Buffy the Vampire Slayer. It's the one role where he wasn't a dork. I could certainly see that. I could certainly see that. My favorite role with Pee Wee Herman, I thought he was staggering in Batman as Penguin's father, as Cobblepot, Mr. Cobblepot. It was a very small role, but I thought he did a very good job in that as an aging socialite. Tab says, I used to watch Pee Wee's Playhouse in the late 90s when Fox Family, now Freedom, showed the reruns all the time. Oh, Brogo's here. He says, hey, Thrash, how's it going? Brogo, glad you could make tonight, by the way. I saw you watch last night's in replay, but glad you're here tonight. Sean says, juggling my phone and tablet makes my typing worse than usual. Sean, no worries. As Dave's always teasing me for, I try to read everything phonetically. Sometimes I'll try to second guess what it says, but usually it just makes more sense to just read it as is and then try to interpret. Sometimes. A lot of people having fellowship. Excellent. Let's see what we got here. We only got 6 on so far. A lot of people probably saying goodnight to David. Dave, thank you for your tribute to Paul Rubens, by the way. I will watch it in replay. Keithy says, bro, Google, sorry I didn't get back to your message. I saw it after an hour or so last night. But if the rash goes blank, you just need to look for the next broadcast. Yeah, if I'm interpreting what Surrey is saying on Keith's behalf is, yeah, what was going on last night was I had some technical difficulties, so I went out and came back in. When I was trying to get back in, one of two things happened. Either it thought I was doing it as a premiere, so it sort of locked it in limbo until the proper time frame, or again, I think what was doing was, even though I had said it end live, I don't think I'd actually logged all the way out. So my new broadcasts are trying to piggyback on the old, and you can't do that. But either way, yes, if you're ever at one of my shows and nothing's happening, log out, log back in. I'm probably having technical difficulties and am ironing them out. Brian says, hey, Lance and Danny. Lance says hi back to Brian. Danny says, Pee Wee proved one day at the movies can change your life. LOL. Yes. Yes. We all know that story, Dan. Tab says Pee Wee's Playhouse helped launch the careers of people like Lawrence Fishburne. Yeah, Cowboy Curtis. Phil Hartman, who they teamed up actually with his Halloween, his HBO special from the get-go. S. Apata Meckerson, Reba the mail lady, and a young Natasha Lyonne as Opal. Very good. Thank you. And Shannon says, Dave Rasmussen says Dave's stream says on Dave's stream, his father has stage 4 cancer. Oh no. Oh no. Oh, I'm so sorry to hear that. Commiserations. Baked Bean is here. Hey, Baked Bean. Says Dave be live, but I gotta be with my boy Thrash if there's a choice. Sorry, Dave. Baked Bean, I think you were very fortunate. It sounds to me from what my other commenters have been saying, Dave was in fact wrapping up. It sounds to me like he was shooting to wrap up at 7:30, which is perfect timing. So it sounds to me like you didn't so much bail as go from the one state of affairs to the other. I think I was going to say hi, everybody in chat and watching, and specifically to Lance, who says hello to him specifically. Keithy says, Baked Bean, make sure you say hello to everybody that's watching the replay. Oh, yeah, that's become a ritual. Everyone who's not here, we give shout outs to, which is funny because we can't always remember who we're shouting out. But yes, to all who will be watching this later on in replay, and there will be a replay. Thank you for joining us, and sorry you couldn't make the live. Perhaps next time. Oh, speaking of which, James Dye specifically, I've been chatting with him on Facebook. Haven't seen him in a while, so hopefully he'll jump on. Teb says E.G. Daly, the iconic voice of Tommy Pickles on Rugrats, played the love interest Dottie in Pee Wee's Big Adventure. Yes, she did. She actually had kind of a staggeringly good career. She was Baby Doll in Streets of Fire, one of my favorite action musical cult fables 80s films. She was in the Young Turks video. She actually played a friend of Phoebe's in Friends too, by the way. But yes, a great person. The strange ending says this is Steve. Hi. I figured it was either you or Mrs. Steve, but glad at least one of you could make it. Baked Bean says, in your honor, I very much will do. Keith. A lot of people saying hi to Steve. Brogu reminds us to all hit the likes, guys, if you haven't already. I have 11 in and only 6 likes. Danny's given us a link, and that's that we check out this channel. I agree. Please check the channel out. Tracy of Tracy's Fractured History and more is here. Says, hey, yeah, Lancer. Shannon says, Dave is also closing his stream. He is redirecting people here. Thrash Pondo Ponds. I was hoping he would do that. I was hoping he would do that because he usually when we used to run piggyback, and I mean if I had known, I would have actually been in his comment section, giving comments to his live chat. I didn't know I was having a late dinner with Mrs. or an early dinner, really a pre live show dinner with Mrs. Thresh. But if he's directing people here, I could not be more grateful. Baked Bean says, hi to Lisa Fields, and my mind is going blank. Sorry to all. I have forgotten. Oh, Dave Rasmussen. Hi, David. But to everybody, I have forgotten. Sorry and welcome. Yeah, Lisa Fields, Cindy D, Music Girl 67, House of Alex. The list goes on. And if we don't mention you specifically, Tom the Hungry Jerk, please consider yourself greeted. Brian says, I just wanted to say hello and drop by for a little bit. Hope you have a great show. Oh, thank you. But Brian, if you have to take off, thank you. Thank you for stopping by. Have a great night. Make sure to hit the like button before you go. Darrell Johnson is here. He says, Bob, other brother Darrell, how you doing? Denny is here. And he's always giving us a link to Tracy's station. Thank you. She's got some great stuff going on there. And also for music, movies, and more. Very, very kind of you. Baked Bean says, oh, and hi, Keith. Thank you for all your welcoming past reminders. You've brought many smiles to my face. Oh, that's very, very kind. And he goes on to say, I'm not as sharp as you, Thrash. You always remember so many. Yeah, but my mind does go blank. Oh, it looks like Emily is here. Yay. Oh, Brian says, I liked it already. Oh, Emily Miller is here. Says, hi, y'all. I'm going to go say hi to Dave and the crowd over there. I just saw both of you live notifications. BRB. We will be here awaiting for you, my lady. Oh, Dave Rasmussen is here. Says, hey to you. So glad you could make it. Tab says, Mark Hulton, Francis in Pee Wee's Big Adventure, was also Chubbs in Teen Wolf and Ozzy and Leprechaun. I remember him in Teen Wolf, now that you mention it. The later starred a young pre-Friends Jennifer Aniston. It certainly did. She was very, very cute in that movie. But yeah, thanks for reminding me about Mark Holton. I had almost forgotten that, but now that you mention it. A Baked Bean says, hey, Emily, I hope you have gotten more familiar with my friend Martok. Dorian is here. He says, hello, I am Dorian from Bulgaria. Dorian, hello to you as well. Thank you for joining us tonight. Just basically a general Q&A tonight. We're going to be talking about old movies, TV, and that type of thing. Mostly right now we're talking about the loss of Paul Rubens and how we're all sad for that. But Dorian, please, thank you. And anything you'd like to talk about, please read into the comments section. Keithy says, my pleasure, Baked Bean. It must stink to be in another time zone. Oh, it's always difficult. And Dorian says, have you hear about ARO 244 car? I have not. I have not heard about that. Lance Given says, did Celine Dion die? Oh gosh, I hope not. It'd be a tough day if we lost her too. Oh, and Dave Resmond says cancer. Yeah, am I understanding correctly, David? Your father has cancer. I'm very, very, very sorry. Commiserations, man. That's very, very sad. I've lost family members from that myself, and more sympathetic I could not be. A Baked Bean says it is good for lives. Keith Tugg is the only American that goes live at European time. Either he likes that or he has a majority European audience. Column A and column B. Tracy says, yes, I am upset by his death. A lot of people are, Tracy. Commiserations. Gerald Johnson. That was what I heard. Dorian says, it's a Romanian SUV. You see, we Bulgarians do not have industries, so we import them from Romania. Oh, so it's a Romanian SUV. Teb says Paul Rubens' cancer almost ended in 1981 when he was arrested. We all know, Teb, Teb, we all know what happened. B. Camlier is here, says, hey, Thrash, the first time I saw Paul Rubens was in Cheech and Chong's Nice Dreams. He was a unique and funny talent. R.I.P. Yeah, I'm not sorry. Yeah, was that his famous line from that? I believe it is. Lance Jeevan says, lost my dad to cancer in 2007. Very sad as well. Oh, commiserations, Lance. Dorian says, sir, it is my dream to go see the USA. What part would you like to see most? I'm actually from New England. I'm from the Northeast, but we have people here from the Carolinas, from Florida, from other part of the West, from Oklahoma, Texas. So let us know what part you'd like to see the most. And Dave says my dad stage 4 liver cancer. Oh, Dave, I'm very sorry, very sorry. Tell him I'll be praying for him. Tim says, I meant he was caught doing. Yes, Tab, we all know what he did. Denny says, I think it's Arnold from Terminator's birthday. Oh, really? No kidding. Dorian says, apparently, Dorian's messages have been retracted. I don't know if he retracted them himself or if one of my moderators got ahead of the game. Has Dorian been a bad boy? Well, I'll skip down the road and we'll see what happened here. Wajamin is here. He says, hello, everybody. Hello to you too, Wajamin. So good to see you. And Dennis says, hey, oh, he just jumped. I'm sorry. He says, hey, Dorian, Thrash isn't a car stream. I'm betting it went downhill from there. Oh, Lynn says Tracy no tug yet. No, he's on a temporary sabbatical. BK says, I'm sorry, I took the money. It's okay, I'll let it go this time. Baked Bean says, hey, Dave, my deepest thoughts and wishes for you and your family. Yes, that goes from all of us. Teb says, Thrash, how do you feel about Stephen Root? Would you be hurt if I said drawn a blank? I know I've heard the name. Can't think of the notoriety. Teb, give me a bullet point on why I would have heard of him, and we'll revisit the matter. Very sorry. When I go live, sometimes I draw blanks, even on big current events. Daryl Johnson says they don't show her death on Wikipedia. Well, that's good. Trace is just covering bases. Oh, and Danny's giving us a link. Thank you, Danny. Sheldon says, sorry to Lance. Mine died in 2013. Technically, he had lung cancer, but a stroke got him. Ultimately, 84 was a good run, but never easy to lose a parent. Lost grandparents, but most of my parents are still alive, thankfully. Danny says, Dorian, the smart blank, has left the building. Watchman says, sorry to hear about that. Lance lost my dad to cancer in 2008. Emily's back. She goes, I'm back. And let's just see. Denny says, never talk to the troll slayer. Well done, Denny. Thank you very much. I was getting a weird vibe off him, but I always give him the benefit of that. Some people are just socially awkward, but I'm glad you were on top of it. John says, Teb, Stephen Root is so good. First, remember him in Ghost in a straight role as a cop. Teb says, which TV show premiered in '93 do you prefer better? The X Files, Frasier, Boy Meets World, The Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, The Nanny, Star Trek, Deep Space Nine, or Beavis and Butthead? Beavis and Butthead was great, but I'm gonna have to go with The X Files. That was my favorite show at that time. Deep Space Nine was good. Never really watched Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. My friends' kids did, even though I went to school with the Pink Ranger. Not a big fan of Boy Meets World, although my daughter watched it. Frasier was good. Frasier was good. And the nanny, I could take or leave. Baked Bean says Tug is hiding behind Thrash's divider. If you look closely, you can see his blonde locks peeking out of the side. That sounds like an urban legend. You know, one YouTuber takes the all the subscribers from another YouTuber, leaving him with nothing, and he gets his revenge live during a live chat by hiding behind some of the staging and That's a good urban legend. Somebody get me a Dennis Simo. We're gonna have him write that. I'm just gonna skim down. A lot of people are having fellowship. Bacon says watch Thresh break my heart too. I'll try not to. Emily never liked Deep Space Nine. Dan has given us another link to watch. I mean, thank you very much. Mr. Wilkinson is here. He says, "Good evening, Bob. Good evening to you too. Great to see you." Um, Teb says Stephen Root was great as Jimmy James on News Radio. Oh, okay. Thank you, thank you. Milton in Office Space and Bill something or other on King of the Hill. Both Office Space and King of the Hill were done by Mike Judge. Yes, I loved him. I loved him in News Radio. I thought he was absolutely amazing. I've seen a couple other things too, by the way, but I couldn't place his name to save my life. Thank you so much. Baked Bean says you should reconsider, or else you'll never be a part of the BB crew. Oh, look who's here. Dave Sundstrom. Dave Sundstrom, and he says, hey, all. Dave, hey to you too, by the way. And thank you for closing your live stream with a pitch to my live stream, by the way. That was very, very, very kind of you. Thank you. And of course, rest in peace, Mr. Rubens. Oh, look, the mosquito is here. It says, your head is so big that it hides your neck. You can consider that strike one, mosquito. A lot of people having fellowship, saying hello to each other. Oh, look who's here! The Nostalgic Pod Blast says, hey guys and dolls. Rest in peace, Paul Rubens, Pee Wee Herman. Definitely. That was been the main topic of a conversation. Emilio says, Dave, great memorial for Paul. I'm going to have to watch it in replay. I was having a pre show late supper with Mrs. Thrash. But Danny's given us a link. Thank you very much. A lot of people saying, hey to Pod Blast. Shannon says Stephen Root was great as the alien space captain in the short-lived animated series. I don't recall him in that, but I will definitely take your word for it. Teb says to Dave Sundstrom, sorry I missed your Paul Rubens tribute. I missed it too. I'll have to watch it. Replay. Baked Bean says, I adore the X-Files, but any question with DS9 as to the choice will lead to one answer. Well, perhaps. Possibly another answer. Dave says, thanks. Oh, super sad day for me. I was a big Paul Rubens fan. We all were very, very sad. Tracy says, I thought we were buds, Sean. We're all buds here. And Mr. Wilkinson says, good evening, Lance and Darrell. Good evening, Dave. And holy cow, I'm actually caught up. You know what it is? I keep looking at the time like I'm going to be doing my trivia, and I have no trivia for tonight. And Superplex isn't even here. What do you mean says BRB? Okay, the really vile, crocky. I'll come in again. The really vile crocodile says, I just had a stunning realization. Isn't being old subjectivem? Subjectivem? Well, I don't like being old. I'll have to get back to you. It's not great. I'm not crazy about it, but In any case, welcome to the show. Shanna says the animated series with Stephen Root was called Tripping the Rift. Oh, I vaguely remember Tripping the Rift on Cartoon Network. That was years ago. I remember now. Baked Bean says, always Thrash put my mother against DS9, and I'll pick the 7-season show. Sorry, Mom. Wowzers. I like Star Trek too, but oh, by the way, in Vegas used to have in the Star Trek experience, they used to have Quark's Pub. And when I was in Vegas, I always made it a point to go there. I was going to take my wife there, Mrs. Thrash, and when we went there, they had closed the place. Very sad. Baked Bean says only subjectivism in a world where age is infinite. Well stated. Emily says being old beats the alternative. Very well stated. Keithy says, Steve, I'm not spamming your channel. I'm trying to put on as many comments for the algorithm as possible. Well, thank you. I know you do that with mine too, and I definitely appreciate that. So, yes, keep the good work. Liz Given says, Steve, how is the YouTube thing going? Oh, good question. Good question. He said something about how it may only be for 90 days. I hope that there is some type of hope of a reprieve. And Dave also says, well stated. Emily, Tracy says, message retracted to you too. Oh, and sad ending. Steve says, thanks. And Tracy says, I thought Giambi died too. Jambi? Oh, yeah, Jambi died a couple years ago, I believe. Shannon says, I don't know because it jumped off the screen. Shannon says, the pilot for Tripping the Rift was so much more raunchy and funny than the series ever was. That happened a lot. In fact, oftentimes they weren't even pilots. They would do these one-shot shows, and if they were well received, Cartoon Network would throw some money at them, and they would become shows. But that actually happened quite a bit. Daryl John says, I must be the only one that don't mind being an old dude. No, I'm not crazy about it, but it beats the alternative. Emily says, BB, don't feel bad. I would give up my mom for DS9 too. And Keithy says, Steve, when you get to 500,000, I'll shop or I'll stop. And Ted says, which TV show premiered in 1995 do you prefer better? Star Trek Voyager, Hercules, The Legendary Journeys, Xena Warrior Princess, News Radio, Drew Carey Show, Mad TV, or Mr. Show. Never really watched Mr. Show. Love News Radio. I like Drew Carey a lot. I like Mad TV. I did watch Hercules and Xena. We're huge fans. Star Trek Voyager, I used to watch with a friend of mine, so I'd probably have to go to News Radio, though. Big Bean says, I'm 40 very soon, but I gather that is very young for this fellowship. I wouldn't say very young. It's younger. Okay, the really vile Crocodile says, because a 20-year-old might consider a 50-year-old old, but an 80-year-old would think the same, but a 50-year-old is young. The oldest man in Brazil is 115, so even a 100-year-old would seem young to him. I will grant you all of that. Emily says, Daryl, no offense, but I would hate to be an old dude. Big Bean says, Martok, welcome you with open arms, Emily. Oh, that's very nice of you. Shannon says, Daryl Johnson, I have days when it bothers me. Still, I feel I'm 20 almost days. Ellen says, Terrell, definitely Voyager, but also Mad TV. Len says, baked. Dave Sunstrom just jumped off the page. So there he is. To Strange Endings. 2 strikes. The channel is still up. At least you've got that. Very good point, Dave. Very, very encouraging. Sean says, LOL, don't be an old dude, please. Emily Miller. Lance Chafin says, Dave, how are you? Steve says, I have no strikes. Oh, that's even better than 2 strikes. Oh, and Dave says he's doing great. Thanks for asking. Mr. Wilkins says, I'm Really old Emily, I will be 61 in September. That's not that old. That's only a few years older than me. Baked Bean says, if M was an old dude, she'd be the best old dude in the world. Shout out to those that get the reference. Big Bean said, I would thrash, consider himself old. Oh, and Danny's giving us another link. Thank you, Danny. Dave says this to Steve. I'd love to visit you with you about what's happened. Please. Good luck, guys, with that. And Steve says to Dave, demonetized for what they call reuse. Not cool. Keithy says, I am 66 and super will be 66 in November. Teb says, did you know that the character of Six on Tripping the Rift was voiced by Carmen Electra, season 1, Gina Gershon in season 2, and Jenny McCarthy season 3? I did not. That's good trivia. Tracy says, we'll see you guys later. Gotta run. Tracy, I'm so glad you could make it. By the way, take care of yourself, miss. It's always nice having you on the channel. Be good, be safe, be careful, and we'll see you really soon. And Dave says to Steve, did they just go back and review your channel again? Hopefully they review it and reconsider. And Steve says, it's all bots. It's a mess. No, that's so sad. You can't argue with bots. And then Dave says to Danny Skaten, just hit the like button. And Daryl says goodnight to Tracy. And Really Vile Crocodile says, now the question is, how old would you have to be to consider this 115-year-old Brazilian man young? 115, that's pretty high. I'd have to go higher than 120. I would say 130. A 130-year-old would say to him, oh, hey, young man, didn't I babysit you when you were little? And Danny's giving us another link. And Emily says, bots are the problem on all platforms. Sorry you were targeting Steve. Likewise. And Steve is saying, thank you. And wow, I'm actually caught up. So, and as I say that, and Emily too. Emily says, really vile. I'm not much older than I tell everyone. Emily, I'm certain I got a couple years on you. I'm certain. Just crunching the numbers that you've let slip from here and there. I think I'm like 1, maybe 2 years older than you. I think. But you hide it a lot better than I do, young lady. You look young. I look like an old man. So, but I would never tell a lady's age. My wife taught me that. Lance Jamin says, Dave or Steve and Thrash have me on soon. Oh, trust me, you are definitely on the list. Benjamin is back, and I'm back at you. Dave Sumpton says, Thrash Pondo Pons, where are we going to see Ian again? Any idea? I've heard a butt of scuttle at the end of this month. I would guess last week in August at the earliest, probably first week in September. He's very tied up and more sympathetic I could not be. But until then, I'll be keeping the home fires burning because that's what I do. Emmett Miller says, I survived the witch trials. I won't say which ones. Emily, have I told you this? There was a Bird-Eye Gordon made about 40 years ago called The Burning, I want to say. It takes place, long story short, a girl in Salem in present day is actually the reincarnation of Goody Bad Girl, whatever, whatever the principal witch was in Salem Witch Trials. The reason I'm telling you all this very haphazardly is my aunt Lori played Sarah Good in this movie. Long story short, she was working in a one of those living museums down in Plymouth where she was playing a pilgrim. And Bird-Eye Gordon came to recruit some people. And he goes, do you have anyone who can play Sarah Good? And she goes, yeah, me. So it's actually on YouTube. Look up Bird-Eye Gordon's The Burning or something or other. I can't remember the name of it. And the opening segment, the one that takes place in Salem, that's my Aunt Lori playing Sarah. Good. And that put me way behind the eight ball, but I thought it was an interesting anecdote. Baked Bean says, to slow thrash down and allow the chart to get ahead. Give us your top 3 Star Trek episodes thrash. Easy. The Arena, Devil in the Dark, and the one with the black and white people. I can never remember the name of it, but the one with the black and white people. Those are my 3 favorite Star Trek episodes. Feel free to challenge in the comments below. Teb says, Stanley and Barry Livingston, Chip and Ernie for my 3 sons are brothers in real life. I knew that. Barry still acts to see this day. He even wrote a best-selling memoir about his experience working on the show. That's crazy. Dave says, gotta roll, folks. Have a nice night. Dave, it was so nice of you to pop on by. It's always great having you with us. Have a great night, and thanks for the shout-out. Lance Chafin just jumped off the page. Oh, it says, Lance says he better not be tied up. A lot of people saying bye to Dave. Steve says, I gotta go too. I have a pellet to cry into. Steve, positive vibes, man. Positive vibes. Keep fighting. And those of us who are still free, we'll do what we can to help you. And Dave says, to Baked Bean, I believe it was Michael's birthday either today or yesterday. Excellent. Oh, Gary Carpenter says, I'm here. Gary Carpenter, you said you'd be here or be square. That was what the L7 reference was earlier. Get it? L7. Anyway, little beat poetry humor for you. But so good to see you. A lot of people having fellowship, saying goodbye to those who are. Let this be your last battlefield. Thank you, Sean. I can never remember that, which is funny because they actually say it in the episode. Let this be your last battlefield. Yes, that's one of my 3 favorite episodes of Star Trek. And yes, a lot of people saying goodbye to those who are leaving, and hello to those who are just showing up. Emily says, Steve, don't cry. Talk to Dave. Maybe y'all can figure something out. If anyone can, it would be Mr. Dave. Baked Bean says, I am absolutely blanking on Michael. Dave. Gary Carpenter says, YouTube kicked him out. Well, they demonetized him, which is worse. It's so sad. It seems like we do all these things to make money. And when you finally get a chance to actually make some money, YouTube tries to find a way to prevent you from. I mean, people call me up all the time. They go, Bob, that's so great. You're monetized soon. And I go, what are you talking about? I'm not monetized. No, I was watching YouTube the other day and they show commercials on your post. And I go, oh, yeah, YouTube shows them all the time and makes money off of them. I signed an agreement saying that until I get monetized, they can commercialize my channel as much as they want. But I'm not making any money, and I'm not trying. Again, I'm not trying to bite the hand that will hopefully someday feed me. But it just seems like the decks are getting stacked against the creative people, and that's all I'm going to say on that. Anyway, I get a little behind. Today is Arnold the Terminator's birthday. Happy birthday, Arnold! Gary says, at least nothing hasn't happened yet. How ominous. Daryl Johnson says, yes, he's 77. Dave says, Michael Bain. Get it? Baked Bean, Michael Bain. 77. Wow, older than I thought. Emily says, yes, Gary, but hopefully Dave can get him some advice. And Baked Bean says, sorry, I get you now. Yes, it was Dave. Yes. And Dave says, yes, and now I'm taking off. Now I'm really taking off. Excellent. Oh, Gary Carpenter says, rest in peace, Paul Rubens. Yes, that's been the main topic of conversation tonight. We all miss him in a very sad. Tom the Hungry Jerk is here. He says, hello, everyone. Oh, hello, Tom. Gave you a shout out earlier. Glad you could make it. Danny says, can you imagine 77-year-old Terminator chasing you on his walker? I can now. And a lot of people saying hi to Tom. Daryl says, Don't think he's using a walker. And Big Bean says, well, technically today for North America. And Tom says, at work, just listening. Thanks. Yeah, we're kind of figured like we were saying before. When you work in hospitality, money's better at night, so you almost have to work nights, and there's more shifts. For my restaurant, a specialty. We're not open for lunch. Lance Jamin says, baked watched Michael in the Magnificent Seven TV show. I don't think I ever watched the TV show. Was it good? And let's see, but yes, we're very, very sad about Mr. Rubens. And oh, by the way, anyone else have a favorite Star? You got me intrigued now. Anyone else have a favorite Star Trek episode or three? Were any of mine somebody else's favorites? You got me interested now. Oh, Tug is here. Says there was a TV show. I never saw it either, Tug. Oh, and Tug, did you tell Mrs. Tug happy birthday for me? The big 2-9, huh? A lot of people saying hi to Tug. Lynn says, yes, it is, Thrash. Big Bean says, do you know whether it's on a streaming service at the moment, Lance? I imagine everything's on a streaming service of one sort or another. Emily says, hey, can somebody find me a free mechanic? It's never free. And besides, the best ones I know are actually here on Cape Cod, Massachusetts. Something of a drive. Teb says, which TV show premiered in 2009 do you prefer better? Modern Family, Parks and Recreation, Community, The Vampire Diaries, The Middle, Glee, Paul Rubens' Drag Race, or Jersey Shore? I never particularly watched any of those shows. I'm sorry. Teb. And apologies to anybody who did like those shows. Those never grabbed me, but feel free to answer in the comments below. Brogue saying hello to Danny. Watchman says happy birthday to Mrs. Tug. Tug says in the pale moonlight, City on the Edge of Forever, and Inner Light. Loved City on the Edge of Forever. You know what? There's no bad answers. But I did love City on the Edge of Forever. Although the story about the behind the scenes is actually more interesting than the actual story itself. And Big Bean said my favorite Star Trek episode is Jellicoe Forever, Chain of Command. Gary Carpenter says my favorite episode is Trouble with Tribbles. I love the Trouble with Tribbles. It's so cute. Stanley Kramer's awesome in that. Tab also likes City on the Edge of Forever. It's a great episode. Go on YouTube, by the way. Harlan Ellison gives an interview as to what he went through making it. It's actually really, really interesting. One of my favorites is the device that people go through. He says it's covered with runes. And when he went up on the set, there's this like dilapidated, crumbling city in the background. He goes, what the hell is this? And they go, it's the ruins you asked for. And I go, it wasn't surrounded by ruins. It had mystic runes on it. But the stage set designers were Philistines and didn't know what a rune was. Things kind of went downhill from there. Danny says, mind-blowing, found my mom's driver's license today. She passed away last year. Seems like 10 years older than we knew. Wow. Commiserations, man. Oh, and Lynn says, my favorite is Shore Leave. I loved Shore Leave. I did. The guy who played the rabbit was the guy who played the Gorn. Remember? Hair today, Gorn tomorrow. A lot of people saying happy birthday to Mrs. Tug. Baked Bean says my second fave is from Enterprise. That's why I didn't recognize it. Tug says, Mrs. Tug says, thank you, YouTube friends. You're so welcome. Wilkinson says he likes Shore Leave as well. Yeah, it's a great episode. Emily says, Tug, my man, high five. Ted says, the 2 episodes featuring Roger C. Carmel as Harcourt Fenton, Harry Mudd were really good. I loved both of those. Mudd's Women and the other one. Didn't he also do one of the animated as well? But I know he did Mud Women, and he did another one as well. Jenny's giving us a link. Big Bean says, hippie pappy birth de la Mrs. Tug. Shout out those that get the reference. Oh, Tug's giving a high five back to Emily. Shana says, Glenn Chafin, shore leave. Thank you. Could never remember the title of that episode. Tug says, I've got a copy of Ellison's original script. Wow. I went out and I found after he died for a little extra money, I got the compendium to The Boy and His Dog, including the not particularly well written teleplay for a proposed Boy and His Dog TV series. John Burns says, Dave's not here, man. I love that reference. Dave was here, but yeah, Dave's not here. John, so nice of you to make it, by the way, though. Danny's giving us a link. Gary Carpenter says, Thrasher, ouch. And Sean says, hey to Tug. And Tug says, hey, Sean. And hi to everyone else. And Watchamine says, hello, John. And what is Mud's Women? And what was the other one? It was the one where they go to the planet of the androids, and the androids want to take over the universe because they're only useful if they're enslaved. So they're going to take over the universe and do the work for everyone so that they can feel like they have purpose, and they're going to lock up the Enterprise crew on the planet. And it's where Fenton's ex-wife shows up and won't stop screaming at him. And if someone doesn't tell me what that episode is in the comment section, I'm going to jump to strudel. Emily says, other than Supernatural, I can rarely remember episode titles. It's more like my favorite episode is When This Happened. Emily, there's no shame in that. I remember context, not always titles. I did develop the ability to do titles, actors, directors, even when I worked in the video store, because half the time when people asked for something, that's how they asked. But more likely they would ask by plot synopsis. There was an old commercial for Suncoast where a guy walks into a store and goes, do you have that movie where that guy's like, ah, and the girl's like, ah, and the girl's like, ah, and the employee's like, oh yeah, it's right over here. Because that actually is exactly what would happen. People would come in and they would describe a scene to us. And we'd be like, oh yeah, officer and gentleman, here you go. We were good. We were the best. But of course, no one buys home theater anymore. Hi, Mrs. Thrash. Everybody say hi to Mrs. Thrash. She's giving us a lovely gesture. Oh, two lovely gestures. By the way, anybody want to say hi? Here, I'm going to turn the camera. Oh, I'm not going to turn the camera around. Yes, everyone's like, you really should put Mrs. Thrash on camera sometime. If you saw the look she gave me, you'd understand why that's not going to happen. But anyway, she does say hello to all of you. Wajimine says, LOL, Thrash, I worked. You don't tell me. I'm guessing you worked for either a Sam Goody or a Suncoast. But that'd be great if you did, by the way. I managed a Suncoast for 6 years. Best job I ever had. Until the market fell out. But that's another story. Let's just see. Baked Bean says, who would win in a fight, Martin Riggs or Snake Plissken? Terms both start a click away from each other in an urban area and both have firearm choices. Plissken. I'm going to go with Snake Plissken. A lot of people saying hi to Mrs. Thrash. Very kind of you people. Emily Miller says, hi, Mrs. Thrash. Waves frantically. Very kind of you. And Gary Carpenter says, Roger C. Carmel, old Batman as Colonel Gum with the Green Hornet. Ooh, good reference. Daryl Johnson says, hey, Mrs. Thrash. Tug agrees, Snake Plissken. Gary Carpenter says, hi there, Mrs. T. Wajimine says, worked at video store. Oh, Blockbuster. And that's how they ask for movies. I almost, when Suncoast went out, I almost went to Blockbuster. And I lamented the decision to not take the job. And within a year, the the Blockbuster in my area closed, and it was one of the last. So I'm glad looking back, I'm glad I didn't take it, but I really, really wanted to. Bruga says, I loved Suncoast Video Store, bought a lot of DVDs there. Yeah, so did I. So did I. Yeah, it was a really great, great store. Um, oh, thank you, Danny, for giving us another link. And John Burton said, 16, oh, sorry, 61 is still younger than me. Wow. Baked Bean says, I love, but find it hard to take on Brazilian Jiu Jitsu. Gracie knew Brazilian Jiu Jitsu. And Tim says, how do you feel about Twitter changing its name to X after Elon Musk bought the social platform? I try not to criticize Elon Musk um, because some things I think he does is genius, and some things he does I don't. He's a billionaire, so he's already head and shoulders above me. So I feel, I feel it feels out of place for me to criticize him. So I'm just going to say I don't know if that would be my play. Oh, Les James says Thrash. Thank you again for the DVDs. My pleasure. I hope you get a lot of enjoyment out of them. Wilkinson says, "Is Blockbuster still around, Bob?" One. There's one left in the entire country. It's in Oregon. It was a family. It was a I guess a franchise. One that wasn't a corporate one. It's owned by a single family, and they're still managing to keep it afloat. They did a documentary about it a couple years ago, but to the best of my knowledge, there's still one left in the entire country. Baked Bean says testing M's super knowledge in case she missed it. Tug says half of my DVD collection came from video stores going out of business. Picking the carcass, are we? Baked Bean says Elon's an amazing human. Uh, he has made some great strides. Lynn Steven says, hey, Tug, are you doing a stream Sunday or soon? Baked Bean says, gives hundreds of millions to charitable causes and has been improved humanity to no end through electronic vehicle advancements. I'll give you that one as well. Baked Bean. Danny says, when the Blockbuster went out of business, they were selling the VHS's tapes for a quarter. I have boxes of movies I don't know what to do with. Benjamin says, and we had a family video here, and they closed a few years ago, and that makes me very sad. Me too. Very, very sad. Baby says we'll talk Elon Musk in the future. I'd love to be as great as Elon. Emily says the only great strides he's done in buying companies. Oh, and Tug says I'm going to try to do one on Sunday, but no promises yet. You and Thrash, of course, are invited. Color me there. Um, and I just jumped again. Shannon says Elon has done some shady things too. Um, again, he's done some great things, and he is a billionaire. He's done some things that I wouldn't have done myself. And again, I don't want to criticize the guy because again, I haven't amassed a fortune of $1 billion either. So, but again, I think anyone who's managed to come up with a fortune that big has done shady things. So, I'm sure to get $1 billion, I would do one or two sketchy things as well. Emily says he gives to charities for tax write-offs. Who doesn't? I do that. Lynn Jamin says, keep me posted. Thank you. Daryl says, how many DVDs do you have now, Lance? Oh, it's going to be hundreds. Baked Bean says, we're all good and bad on balance. I pale in insignificance to Elon. You really like Elon Musk, don't you, Baked Bean? Well, we all have our heroes. And Glenn says 1,100. Dude, you might have more than I do. And Emily Miller says, I have absolutely no respect for him. I haven't amassed that much either, but my dad wasn't a millionaire. You raise a valid point. Oh, hey, we're down to like 14 people at this point. You know what? Actually, on that note, I think I'm gonna keep it to an hour tonight. By the way, guys, I had a really long day and I'm a little beat. And as people are already starting to bow out, I think I'm gonna wrap it up in an hour, which is just a few more minutes. So, any last minute topics you guys want to throw out? Feel free to. Tug says, I just been too dang busy this summer. Tell me about it. Tell me about it. Keithy says, be kind, rewind. Baked Bean says, some people hate Mr. Beast, but that dude cured 1,000 people's blindness in one video, and I don't care what people say. He cured 1,000 people of being blind. Mr. Beast is awesome. Well, if you can cure blindness, that's pretty damn cool. Lance Javen says, bye, Thrash. Bye to you, Lance. We'll talk to you really soon. Daryl John says, yeah, rewind that DVD after you're done watching it. That could take a while. Broga says, good night, everyone. Emilio says, Beast didn't cure anyone. He gave money to help. That's like saying, I didn't give you a ride. I gave you cab fare. Did I not help convey you to the place you were going to? I do see your point, but, if people can see who couldn't see before, is that not cool? Well, I'll let you guys decide. Linda Chafin says, bye, Emily, love ya. Gary, as do we all. We all love Emily. Gary Carpenter says, I need some that need to be replaced. Ken Wilkins says, good night, Emily. Walter Bean says, good night to Lance. It's becoming the Waltons. Big Bean says, exactly, Emily. Nobody else gave them the money. I didn't. Thank you. Ken Wilkins says, good night to me. Good night to you as well, Ken. Take care of yourself. Tug says, I don't believe in judging people I don't know or haven't affected my life in any meaningful way. Well stated, Tug. Well stated. Big Bean says, I get you, M, but I think you get me too. Yes, it's a very, very altruistic, even-handed way of looking at it. This is stop putting billionaires on pedestals. Yes, put vases on pedestals instead. And Tug says, I'm not leaving until the stream is dead and buried. Oh, because of last night where it was open-ended. Don't worry, I'll give you a signal this time. At my signal, unleash hell. What movie? What movie? I'm gonna have some more of my golden ginger ale. Very parched tonight. Big Bean says, it's not that it's balance of good. I get you, but you get me too, don't you? And Gary Cameron says, you're a little loopy. I thought you were. Oh, Bobby Renee's here. Hi, host with the most. Bobby, so nice you could make it. Sadly, we're just wrapping things up. It was just a general chat tonight, mostly talking about how sorry about the loss of Paul Rubens, but very glad you could make it in these final moments. Tom says, thanks. Then says, Thrash, send me some polar ice. I'll see what I can do. Tug got it. Gladiator. Tug for the win. Love that movie. A lot of people saying hi to Bobby. And, Gary Carpenter says, good night, Mrs. Calabash. Wherever you are. And yes, for those of you who didn't catch it, I'm sure most of, if not all of you did, that was an old Jimmy Durante closing line. But in any case, I just want to thank you guys for showing up tonight. I know this was just like a little impromptu show, and yet you guys made it a lot of fun. You were very interactive. You kept the conversation lively. You kept the conversation going. I absolutely love doing these shows with you guys. Sadly, I don't have anything going on for the rest of this week. I will have another show Sunday night. Topic of the show to be determined. But I want to thank you guys for joining me so much tonight. Again, it's like having friends over, only I don't have to clean up so much. I really, really love it. You guys come over. We have these like little live chats. It's really just a lot of fun. And you guys are great. Oh, and Tug, what would the topic of this Sunday's chat be, by the way, while we're on the subject? Tug says we love you, Bob. The feeling is more than mutual to all of you. Keithy says release the hounds. Who let the dogs out? Woof, 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 woof. John Bernstein says my favorite Star Trek episodes are City of the Engine Forever, The Trouble with Tribbles, A Piece of the. Oh, I can't believe no one mentioned Piece of the Action. I loved Piece of the Action. That was the episode that Vic Tayback was in. Remember we were talking about how Vic Tayback did an episode of TOS? Yes, that was it. He plays Krakow, or one of the gangsters. But yes, very, very, very well stated. And oh, Dana's giving us in a link. Thank you so much. And oh, and Bobby's saying hi to Gary. But anyway, guys, I want to thank you very, very, very much. And again, a lot of people saying Tribbles was their favorite too. Anyway, have a great one. Have a great week. I will definitely see you guys one way or another. I will see you next Sunday. Until then, be good, be safe, be careful. I'm looking forward to seeing you all again very, 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 very soon. Peace.